The question to us today is Vietnam the new China? Well, to answer that question, we have to look back to our December 2011 auction, when we had the pleasure to offer the comprehensive collection formed by Matthew Kahane. Lot 61447 came under the hammer, and with room bidding, phone bidding and internet bidding, the collection arrived at an amazing €192,000. Of course, that includes our buyer's commission. And today we are in the company of Mr. Kahane, who's agreed to be interviewed, not just to promote our next auction with the Jack Dykhouse collection, but also to share a little bit about his journey with Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia, which were the other loves. Mr. Kahane, welcome. Just a couple of questions. Why did you start to collect Vietnam?
When I was a child in the late 50s, early 60s, my father used to travel to Indochina, essentially to South Vietnam, to Cambodia, and he sent them letters and stamps, but he also bought, because I collected in those days, and I found them fascinating. He also went to Laos once. Beautiful stamps in those days. Then, one grows up, one's interests change, and then a number of years later I found myself, when I had my own first child, collecting stamps again for her. And I was assigned by the United Nations to work on Indochina, all the countries, and then I found myself assigned to work in Hanoi for a number of years, and plunged back into these once very familiar issues, and discovering this huge range of material, in particular in Vietnam, given the terribly complicated political history, South Vietnam, the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, the various wartime issues, the provisional issues during the Viet Minh struggle against the French. And there was just this fascinating material that somehow appeared on the market. And I got totally hooked and pursued this in every way possible, and was able to contribute a bit to knowledge. The Stanley Gibbons rewrote the Vietnam section in his catalogue on the basis of a lot of things I had found in Hanoi. And then I joined the Society of Indochina Philatelists and was an avid reader of the bulletin, often sent in articles. I did a lot of translation from French of mainly the French Indochina administrative documents as the basis. Right. Yeah. And of course, therefore, got in touch, but never met. I say a whole range, but in fact we were a small group of people who were particularly interested in Vietnam, wonderful people, one of whom I believe is of particular interest to you, my colleague Jack Dykhouse, or colleague as a fellow member.
Well, thank you. So when you decided to sell, what was important to you?
I didn't want to sell. I wanted to keep this collection, but at some point in life one says, no, these are things that should be shared with one's fellow philatelists in an organized fashion. And I thought, well, how does one do this? The well-known specialists were not in my neighborhood, but then I discovered that David Feldman Galleries was just down the street, more or less, and so I could easily get in touch. I came to an auction, found myself back in this world of philatelic auctions, which I loved, and mentioned the idea. And from then the response was very encouraging, very friendly, but also very professional about what should be sold, how it should be presented, how it should be lotted or not lotted, as the case might be. And that all went extremely well.
So were you pleased with the service, and did David Feldman Galleries fulfill your requirements, and would you recommend them to other sellers?
As you mentioned, I mean, this was the final lot on the last day of a 6-day sale, late on Sunday afternoon. I mean, I thought at one stage, what's going to happen here? And it sold for, what was it, 16 times the high estimate? 16 times the high estimate? So that, well, I mean, obviously from a personal point of view, I was very pleased about that. I was very pleased by the recognition of Vietnam as a country to be collected. When I'd started, after all, you couldn't sell North Vietnamese material in the United States. There was an embargo. And now, clearly, with the changing political circumstances, economic circumstances, there's an interest, and there is the resources, presumably in East Asia, to collect these things. I think it's absolutely wonderful, and I hope that this is going to encourage greater participation in other auctions of other material from Vietnam and Indochina in general.
Well, thank you, Mr. Connelly, for your time today.
My pleasure. This is a great area.
A brief introduction to the Jack Dykhouse collection. Among other single items and collections of Vietnam that will be auctioned on September the 22nd, we'll be offering the famous Jack Dykhouse collection. Lot 33149 brings to the market probably one of the most comprehensive and specialized collections ever formed. This collection is the product of 30 years of collecting and is housed in 10 albums and mounted on over 1,200 album pages, showing 2 of the very rare first issue covers, plus extensive ranges of later issues with original artwork for adopted and unadopted designs, unissued artist essays, perforated colour trials, dye proofs, imperfs, varieties that include double perforations, imperf between pairs, misperfs, offsets, and first day covers. Our estimate for the entire collection is 90 to 120,000 euros. You'll be able to view the entire collection from August the 27th, or come to our offices from September the 3rd.